This presentation is brought to you in part by education. Education, it's fun, it's good for you, it makes you smarter. Where would we be without it? Yay. This is Bob. Bob is Canadian. He has a high school diploma, but Bob is unemployed. So, Bob looks in his local newspaper, and the only listing he can find requires a college certificate. Bob is sad because he is still unemployed. As Bob demonstrated, it would make sense to say that the higher the education you have, the more likely you are not to be unemployed, and conclude that provinces with a higher percentage of university graduates would have a lower unemployment rate, right? But I could also say that it would make sense to say that the core is a giant magnet, and that's why metals are heavier than other materials, which is not true, by the way. So, the question that I asked was, is there a relationship between education attainment and unemployment? Hypothesis. In mathematical terms, the graph will have a strong linear negative correlation. But because not everyone knows what that means, in layman's terms, it is when education goes up, unemployment goes down. Background info. Get it? Anyway. Some things you should know. The data collected is from 2006 to 2011 and is only from the provinces of Canada, so not the territories. I analyze unemployment with 3 variables of education: high school, post-secondary, and bachelor's degree attainment levels. All units are in percentages, and definitions of terms / when I say the levels of education attainment mean that level of education attainment, and unemployment means that you don't have a job. One variable analysis. These are the models for the one variable models for unemployment. As we can see in the histogram to the left, it is unimodal with a mean of 7.84, and it has a nice curve, but is kind of slightly skewed to the right. There are no gaps, but there's these 2 odd, gimpy-looking bars over here, which I'll come back to. And this is the box plot for unemployment. It has a range of 14%, so there's a standard deviation of 3.14%, and 2/3 of the population from 2006 to 2011 would be within 4.7% and about 11%. And as you can see, there's such a huge range because of these outliers here. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce you to the outliers. The biggest, well, actually the only outliers that I had was Newfoundland and Labrador. Unemployment data off the box plot, Newfoundland. Really low percent of high school graduates and post-secondary certificate / diploma receivers, Newfoundland. Random clump of loner data off in the corner refusing to join the rest of the employment party, Newfoundland. Believe it or not, the fact that Newfoundland and Labrador is such an outlier for unemployment is because of the cod fishery collapse in 1992. The closing of the 500-year-old industry left unemployment and economy wounds that are still trying to heal up to this day. Going back to the analysis, this is the model for post-secondary certificate or diploma attainment levels. This histogram has 2 modes, 66.5 to 69% and 71.5 to 74%, and it has a mean of 70.56%. And this box plot is actually very even looking, but the second quadrant is slightly bigger than the third, and there's a range of 16.9% and a standard deviation of 4.1%. One variable models for high school graduate attainment levels. I find this histogram to be really oddly shaped, and you know which province to thank that for. Regardless, it has 1 mode and a mean of 64.1%. It has a fairly even curve with barely any skew. And for this box plot, there are lots of points that are outside the interquartile range, and the range itself is 25.5%, the largest range of all the graphs. And these are the models for bachelor's degree attainment levels. This histogram has a curve with a slightly negative skew. This means that the mean is 76.89, and is outside the mode, which is 74.5 to 76.4. the graph is also unimodal. The box and whisker plot has a range of 11.2%. Look at it there. Two variables. Here we have the high school attainment level in relation to the unemployment in the provinces. There's an R-squared value of 0.63 and an R value of 0.79. So there's a linear, moderately strong relationship between the data, which means, no pun intended, that the higher percent high school graduates there are, the lower percent of unemployment. You can also guess where Newfoundland and Labrador are. This scatter plot is of post-secondary certificate or diploma attainment percentage in relation to the unemployment in the provinces. There is an R-squared value of 0.66, giving a correlation coefficient of 0.81, meaning that there's a strong linear relationship here. This is also saying, much like the last plot, that the higher percent of post-secondary graduates, the lower the percent of unemployment. And here we have bachelor's degree attainment levels in relation to unemployment in the provinces. This isn't really what I was expecting to see, with saying that there's an R-squared value of 0.17, and the correlation coefficient is a whopping 0.41. So there's barely any linear relation here. Very different from the last graphs. And as we can see, there are parts where provinces with a low bachelor's degree percent that also have very low unemployment. But while it would appear that there is absolutely no line that could ever fit nicely into this graph, if we take a closer look, we can see that Newfoundland and Labrador is messing with the data again. Good job. Oh, Newfoundland. So, by suppressing the outliers and adding a nice polynomial line of the second order, we get this. So there's an R-squared value of 0.3709 and an R value of 0.609. I felt that this line fit a lot better, even though there technically isn't really a relationship here, but it just looked nice. And yeah. So in conclusion, so there's no confusion, let me say it once again. Just because you have a province with a higher percentage of people getting bachelor's degrees, it doesn't mean that you'll have lower unemployment. Newfoundland has the highest unemployment in all the Canadian provinces and the lowest education percentage. Unemployment had the strongest relationship with post-secondary. Perhaps post-secondary is the level where everything after that is obscured and it doesn't really matter anymore. Alberta actually had one of the lowest unemployment percentages for all the years, probably because they have all the resource-based jobs like oil, forestry, mining, etc. But they also had the highest education percentages of all three. Look at Alberta go. Validity? The data I had for unemployment was for ages 15 years and over, so I guess that would kind of include retired people too, which kind of is redundant, but anyway. All the information I got was from Stats Canada. Well, I mean, not the information about the cod fisheries and stuff, but anyway. So I suppose that some people could have failed to fill out this information. Unemployment was not something that you can control. So things happen, people get laid off, companies close down. One's education would have little effect on things like that. Extensions? It would be neat to have the territories in this data too. I think that I would also have liked to gone before 2006, but because some of my data only went as far back as 2006, that's where I had to cut it off. Thank you.